FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
The author of the fine book, The Looming Tower, about Al-Qaeda and 9/11, Lawrence Wright, writes for The New Yorker, has a fascinating sentence in The Looming Tower. He says that with a little over 1% of the world's Muslims, the Saudis control about 90% of the world's Islamic institutions. Now, what does that mean to the rest of us? Wahhabi Islam, the religion of Saudi Arabia, if you read the Imam's fatwas rather than read what they say to us, the fatwas are somewhere between murderous and genocidal with respect to their discussion of Shiite Muslims, Jews, homosexuals, and apostates. They are massively repressive of women in many, many ways, and they are pointed toward the establishment of a worldwide caliphate, a theocratic dictatorship. That is essentially Al-Qaeda's doctrine. There's no substantive difference, really, between where Al-Qaeda and the Wahhabis of Saudi Arabia want to take us. The question is who's in charge. So it's somewhat like the feud or war, really, between the Trotskyites and the Stalinists in the 20s and 30s, the Trotskyites being roughly parallel to Al-Qaeda and the Stalinists somewhat parallel to the Wahhabis. And because the reach of Wahhabi madrasas is so great, you have all over Pakistan as well as in the West Bank and in a lot of other parts of the world, little boys being taught hatred, essentially. Now, that produces a situation in which by shelling out essentially $1 billion a day at $70 a barrel oil for imported oil, and since a lot of that money goes to the Middle East, you and I shouldn't have any question about who is paying for the other side of this long war that we are in. If you want to know who's paying for those madrasas in, say, Pakistan or the West Bank to teach those little boys to hate, just next time you go to a filling station before you get out to charge your gasoline and take out your credit card, turn the rearview mirror just a few inches so you're looking into your own eyes. Now you know who's paying for those little boys to be taught to hate. The situation we have with the Wahhabis of Saudi Arabia is not too far from what would be the case if Ferdinand and Isabella and Torquemada running the Spanish Inquisition were still around in Spain, and Spain drilled down and discovered 25% of the world's oil under Spain. And Ferdinand and Isabella turned to Torquemada and they say, you know, we know that you'd like to pick the Pope and pick the head of the Lutherans and the evangelicals and president of Notre Dame. That's all fine with us. Here's $6, $7, $8 billion a year. Just go to it. That's the kind of problem the world hypothetically would have if Torquemada and the Inquisition were still around, and that's the kind of problem we've got with the Wahhabis of Saudi Arabia.